All right, we are here with Rob Terry, former TNA superstar and veteran of the business now, at least getting there. I know you were a big wrestling fan growing up. When did you start following it?
Do you know what? I started as a wrestling fan when I was really young. My parents, we didn't have all the sports packages, so my buddies were also into wrestling. And when there were pay-per-views, we'd like stay up in the United Kingdom till like 3 in the morning, and we'd all pile over one of my friend's house, and we'd just be watching pay-per-views and everything else. So it was a big following for all my friends really when I was growing up in the United Kingdom. So.
Yeah, were you mostly like a WWF fan or WCW?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that. I never really watched WCW. I guess just because like a lot of my friends we were just all into the WWF, and that was that. I kind of knew what WCW was, but I really never tapped into that. It was just really mainstream WWE. That was really all I was kind of. That's all the sort of product I was watching when I was a kid. So obviously when I got into the business and stuff like that, it was major catch up time, and I had to watch all the WCW era, which was really cool and kind of sad that I missed out on that as I was growing up. So.
Yeah, did you were you able to catch it much during the Monday Night Wars, or just never really did?
Yeah, at that point, that's actually where I kind of got really introduced to it. When that was kind of a cool time, and that more than anything is where I kind of really got introduced to it,
Yeah,
and I started to get into it there, I guess.
yeah. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Obviously I'm a big guy, so I was a big dude when I was kind of really young as well. I was always like the biggest guy in school and whatnot. So I really just looked up to the bigger guys in professional wrestling. The Hulk Hogan's, the Ultimate Warriors, Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, just all the bigger guys. I guess if you like, they really appealed to me, and they obviously had a big influence when I was growing up.
Yeah. Well, when did you decide that this was something that you wanted to try out and try your hand at?
Well, like I said again, I was, I used to play a lot of sports when I was a kid, and I was extremely physical. And when I started watching wrestling, like I said, I was a big guy. When I was in my teens, I was bigger than most men. So it was just something that I saw these guys who were just bigger than life personalities. I was like, this is what I want to do. I have no idea how I'm going to get into it, but I'm going to find a way. And one day I had the notion of moving to America and finding a way to get into it. I had no idea how. So, but the way everything it turned out, it was kind of like everything worked out perfectly, and it got to a point where I actually tried really hard to get into the industry as well. But again, I really didn't know how to do it. I went to a few wrestling schools, and they really weren't too good at all. Looking back now, and I was actually doing the natural bodybuilding circuit, and I did well there. And it got to a point where it was just luck. The WWE had scouts there, and they said, "Hey, you're a really big guy. You got a great look. How do you feel about getting into professional wrestling?" I was like, "Well, I've tried to do this on my own, so let's do this." So it
Yeah.
just kind of happened. It was just timing, basically. You
And-
know.
Yeah, and so when you signed that WWE developmental deal, so you didn't have much experience before that.
No, no, I didn't because I tried to get into the wrestling school. I'm from Wales in the United Kingdom,
All right.
and again I remember someone said to me, "Hey, if you're interested to get into professional wrestling, there's a school in this place," and I went there, and I mean they didn't have a wrestling ring. They just had mats on the floor, and I didn't know any better at the time. I thought, hey, this is wrestling school or wrestling practice, but it was nothing compared to the sort of wrestling training that I was used to or introduced to when I came to America. So I just didn't really know, how to get into the industry, and no one really said how to do it. I wasn't really on the independent scene in the UK, which I wish I was. But again, like I said, the way that everything worked out, I just came straight to America and I got trained by the WWE, and
And
then everything went from there.
and you were signed. You went right to FCW, right to Florida
Right,
Championship
yeah,
Wrestling.
straight to FCW with really hardly any experience, and that was really I mean, in so many aspects, it was one of the greatest things that could ever happen. But to be so limited with experience there, it taught me a lot. You know what I mean? And it was really hard work to keep up with the guys who've been wrestling on the independent scene already for like 6 to 8 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and do you think there's like because you mentioned you're a big guy, you have an incredible physique. Do you think there's extra pressure when you have a really great physique and things like that?
Yeah, there is and there isn't. I mean, some people will look at you and think, yeah, okay, we're going to make this guy a star. And then other people, I think in the industry that there have been a lot of big guys, you know what I mean? And I think maybe some of them have let, they how do I say this? Some big guys come into the industry and they think, oh, I'm going to be this champion. They have that mindset that they're going to, do everything, and it doesn't work out. So sometimes when they see a big guy, they're like, oh boy, here's another one again. So it's yeah, in one respect it is, and then another it's not. You know what I mean?
Right. And you were kind of tied to Dolph Ziggler when you first started.
I was, yeah. He was pretty good. He was really good. He was a good guy to be with, and I learned a lot just doing my thing with him there as his bodyguard. So yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, and Chris Jericho had written in his book that he wanted you to be his protege on, or I believe is either you be his protege on NXT, or he wanted you to be his, his muscle, basically.
Right. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. Yeah, I was actually in the gym one time and someone said, "Hey, did you realize you're in Chris Jericho's book?" And I said, "No, I didn't realize." So that was a big honor for me.
Oh, so you didn't hear anything about that during that time?
No, I didn't until I obviously I looked it up after that. But someone had the book and they read it and they just brought it to my attention. I was like, wow, I'll have to check that out. That's pretty cool, because I've met Chris a few times and he's nothing, just a really nice guy. So that's just a big honor for me to hear that and find out that he mentioned me in his book.
Yeah. What led you leaving FCW?
To this day, you don't really know.
Right.
I got released essentially. I do know now, and I have no problem saying it. Obviously, I had no training prior going in, so it was just, it's a really tough industry, And like I said, I wish I had more independent time wrestling, if you like. But it's just one of those things you'll never really know. It was one of those things. Maybe I wasn't ready at the time, but it was just one of those things that they'll never really tell you why.
Right. And shortly after that, you signed with TNA. How did that happen?
Well, what happened there is once I got released from, I remember I got released from the FCW program, and then I was good friends with Maven at the time, and he knew Bubba and Devon really well. And Maven said, hey, you should definitely go up to Bubba and Devon school to continue your training and just, carry on there. And, you might get a shot to get into TNA. So basically I went up there, and that was, FCW training was extremely hard. But with Bubba and Devon's school, that's Team 3 Academy, they took a look at me and they're like, okay, you're a big guy. And they did the same thing, where they saw a big guy, because I'm sure they had plenty of them come through, and they really wanted to see if I wanted it bad enough. And I remember that they put me through so many training drills where I just thought I was going to die. You know what I mean? It was the hardest training that I've ever done to date. And I guess I must have earned respect there at some point, where they were like, okay, well, when you're ready, we're going to introduce you to TNA and see what they think. And then the next thing I know, I was appearing with the British Invasion, and away we go.
Yeah. What was it like when you first signed with TNA? Because I know several months after you signed, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff came in.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. You know what I mean? It was great to work with Doug and Nick. Obviously they're extremely talented individuals, and I got to learn a lot from those as well. And then Hulk Hogan comes into the company. I thought it was a really cool thing, especially like I said, as a fan growing up. It was kind of a big deal. So it was great for me to be part of the organization where Hulk Hogan was there as well. So
yeah. And when Hogan and Bischoff were brought in, what kind of changes did you notice backstage, or were there many significant changes at first?
I think you might get a lot of different views on this, and a lot depending on who you may speak to.
Right.
But for me, I mean, I really just concentrate on what I'm doing and what's going on, and for me, it was just a really positive thing for the company at the time. You know what I mean? And it was just really good to be part of that, and I got to be part of Team Immortal. So it was just, all in all, it was a great experience for me. it was a good thing. But maybe that might change depending on who you speak to, I think.
Now, did you get to get advice from Hogan backstage or get to talk to him much?
You know what? Yeah, I did. He was just a super cool guy to me, man. He'd always be sizing me up backstage and all that kind of stuff. He was just a super cool guy, and he lives in Clearwater as well, so I bump into him from time to time. And one of the things that I'm extremely grateful for is that I'm obviously, being in the United Kingdom, and it's extremely hard for me to stay over here. So I actually applied for residency and stuff. And Hulk Hogan, I don't believe I'd have that status if it wasn't for him, and a lot of the other guys backstage as well, who helped me out with that, because he was, I think the people who sanction the residency, etc., they really don't know maybe a lot of professional wrestling, but I think everyone in the world maybe knows who Hulk Hogan is. So I really got a lot to thank for him to vouching for me to get that status. So he's been nothing but cool to me the entire time.
Yeah, I also want to ask you about Sting, since he's being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. How was it working with him?
Again, one of the nicest guys in the world, always positive. And the good thing, Sting would always just, he would come up to me and a lot of the other guys, and he would just coach us, you know what I mean? Like anything we wanted, any questions he would always be there. He was just a super supporting guy and just a really good dude to have on the roster, so I wish him nothing but success, and, congratulations to him.
Yeah. And during your time at TNA, you were there like 5.5 years.
Right.
What would you say were some of your favorite moments there?
Well, I had a lot of them. To be honest with you, I just felt like it was a great roster the entire time I was there. Super talented guys, and personal experience. I had a lot of cool matches, and I got to work with a lot of good, really talented super people. But probably the best was winning the global championship in Wales, where I'm from, in Cardiff. That was just a crazy night for me, you know what I mean? And I didn't really know. It was just an awesome weekend, and just coming away with that title at the time with all my friends and family there at the show just was the best. It was really hard to top that.
Yeah. And how was Dixie Carter as a boss?
She was real. I got nothing bad to say about anyone. I mean,
oh no, for sure.
No, she was amazing the entire time. Super supportive. And from the first time I came to TNA, she introduced herself, and she was always just really nice. You know what I mean? So it was just an absolute pleasure to work with her and TNA. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think one of the knocks with TNA is that a lot of times you'll see them come on to something cool, or come on to something that looks like it'll catch on, like Fortune or the Beatdown Clan. And I think that the Menagerie, was one of those where it seemed like a really cool gimmick. It was different. It was something you hadn't really seen. Do you think, what were the plans for the group when it was first formed? Was there much long-term direction?
I have no idea. I mean, the reality with that, I totally understand with what you said. Sometimes I think maybe, I guess, yeah, with TNA, certain things were introduced and then maybe they don't give it the time to resonate or whatnot. But with that one, I don't know. I mean, at the time I was doing tours in Japan, which was another great experience I had with Impact Wrestling, because I got that through them. And then I remember coming back and they said, "Hey, we got this idea. We're going to do this." And the next thing I was the freaking Menagerie, and it was just one of those things where I guess they started running with it, and then we didn't have that airtime or the story time to really go with it. So it was just one of those things that happens. You just got to do the best you can with what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think 2014 was kind of a bad year for TNA, because that was when it was revealed that Spike TV would be dropping them. What was the reaction like backstage when that news broke out? Because I know they were denying it for a while, and then
sure.
Ultimately, it ended up being true, and they moved to Destination America. Was there a lot of concern backstage over the results?
I think there was. I can only when I'm commenting, I'm only with the moral of the locker room, I guess. I mean, but I think a lot of people questioning what would happen. But the reality is, I mean, they're always going to have a platform. Do you know what I mean? They're always going to have a television platform. Obviously, you're going to want a mainstream like Spike TV, but yeah, you know, people were concerned, but I think everyone kind of knew that they were going to go somewhere else, no matter what. You know what I mean? So, which pretty much is what's happening now. You know, they'll always continue to go on, and I hope so. Do you know what I mean? So it's people were concerned, I guess, but they were just hoping for the best scenario.
Yeah. What led to your departure?
It was just one of those things where I guess mutual agreements couldn't be. It was just one of those things where my contract was up, and I believe that was around about the time that the television TVs were going to be moved. So it was just a contract issue where, you know, I decided to go my way, and that was that. So, but you know, everything was really good. We ended on really good terms, and everything else there. So if I do return to the future, then we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Have you been keeping up with the product?
A little bit, yeah. You know, a lot of my good friends are there, so I try and tune in and see how everything's going and what they're doing and whatnot. So I try and keep an eye on it, but I'm not as much as I used to. So.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Destination America decided to part ways with them so soon?
I don't really know too much about that. Possibly. I mean, like I said again, if they did, then it would just only be another matter of time before they'd hit another platform. So, which I believe they're on Pop right now, Pop TV.
Right. Yeah.
But over in the United Kingdom, when I go over there, the channel, I'm really bad. I can't remember the channel. It's quite a popular one actually, but they get a lot of playtime over there. You know, when you turn on the TV, Impact Wrestling's on like all the time. So, yeah, I guess a lot of other channels around the world. You know what I mean? It's, you know, they have a lot of time there as well. So
yeah, and I know WWE for a long time. It seemed like they were going out of their way to not sign guys that were big in TNA, but that seemed to change. That changed.
I know,
last
yeah.
year.
They're signing everyone there right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what were your thoughts on that? Were you surprised to see AJ Styles and Austin Aries and Samoa Joe and just James Storm there for a short bit? Were you surprised to see that change in attitude?
First of all, they're extremely talented individuals, so it really doesn't surprise me at all. And to be honest, they're great people, so good for them. You know, that's my thought, and I'm really happy for them all, and I hope that they're all really successful, and you know, good for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and is that something you've thought about doing? Is maybe going for another WWE tryout now that
I would like to. It's for me right now, it's a bit of a timing issue. I'm pretty wrapped up until sort of late August in a few projects that I have. So I would definitely consider it, but you know, we'd see what happens. And like the wrestling industry is really unpredictable anyway. So it's something that I'd definitely be open to, but we just see what happens with that.
And you mentioned your other projects. I know you've got Legend Sups. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of my really good friends, Scott Felstead, who's actually the president of Legend Sups, we got together and we made there's a branched chain amino acid, which basically is kind of a drink that you'd use when you're training. You can even drink it when you're not training, and it's just a performance drink that basically all the hard work that you put in the gym, you'd maintain that. It's through almost like a protein, and basically it enables you to train to a high sort of standard, and you get to keep all those gains that you do when you're training in the gym. So it's just a really good supplement to add to the supplements you're already using there. So yeah, you can check out legendsups.com, and you know, it's doing really well. As of sort of December and January, we actually sold out in the United Kingdom, which was really cool for me to hear. But now we're all stocked up, so check them out and see what it's all about there.
Now, is this mostly in the United Kingdom, or are you guys do you ship worldwide?
You know, we're based out of the United Kingdom, but we do actually ship worldwide. So, you know, if you're interested, check it out. And, you know, it's an extremely good product. I use it myself, obviously, and I'm the spokesperson for that. So, yeah, go online, legendsups.com, and check it out. It's a really cool product there for you to use when you're training as well.
Okay. And so you haven't been wrestling that much lately since you left TNA, right?
No,
Because of these projects.
pretty much. I've had a few appearances and stuff like that. I've got more so a few more towards summertime. But like I say, I'm pretty much until August. My schedule doesn't open up until then, so I'd like to definitely looking forward to getting back into the wrestling scene. But it won't be till August. I'm hoping to get a few United Kingdom tours as well, and that'll probably be October, November time.
Okay. Well, great. And have you been following WWE much?
Again, very intermittently. I do check it out from time to time just to see how everyone's doing there. But from time to time, I will go in and check in and see what's going on. Yes.
And do you have a WrestleMania prediction with Triple H against Roman Reigns?
I'll let you know when I see it.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with us, Rob. I really appreciate it.
No, Raj, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for having me on. Thanks
all right. Thank you. Well, take care.